Let's move on to our next speaker. I'd like to introduce you to Larisa Ortiz. She is the principal of Larisa Ortiz Associates, and that is a retail advisory consulting firm. She has actually developed and implemented retail plans in over 200 districts around the world. To top that off, her leadership and expertise is further recognized in the fact that she is a mayoral appointee for the New York City Planning Commission. So not only does she have the expertise, she's bringing it back to the community in many ways. Today she's going to talk to us about the ecology of place. The fact that your environment, as you build your city, has many comparisons to nature itself. What are the factors influencing the way that nature thrives? The soil, the humidity, the sunlight. How do you look at your environments to understand its needs, to nourish those needs, and to plant the right seeds at the right time and the right place? Please welcome Larisa.
Hi, good morning. I'm really thrilled to be here. IDA is a fantastic place. You guys are my tribe. In many ways, I've been doing this work for quite a long time, and I'm here to talk to you about something that we've developed, which is a concept called the ecology of place. And I really do believe that we can learn so much from our natural environments, and so I want to share that with you, and I want to first take you on my summer vacation. This image is from a place called Watkins Glen State Park, which is in upstate New York, and it's a beautiful place. And yeah, as you walk down the pass, and there's a lovely gorge down there, and this place sees about 2 million visitors a year, you notice something really interesting. You notice that on one side, you have really dry, sunny conditions. On the other, you have really moist and a dark environment, and really different kind of fauna on both sides. So try planting a tree or a plant, from taking it from one side and planting it on the other. It would really struggle to survive, if it could survive at all. And yet, we think about our retail, we think about retail in the same way. We expect it to thrive in places where the conditions aren't right for it to do so. And I can't tell you how many places I go where I hear, we would like Trader Joe's, right? Who doesn't want a Trader Joe's? We would like a grocery store. We would like a coffee shop, without necessarily understanding whether there are the right conditions for those kinds of businesses to survive and thrive. And so, you know, in nature we call these microclimates, but we call them retail microclimates. And instead of air, you know, water and sunlight, we're talking about mobility, visibility, and access. These are the fundamental elements that I believe retail needs to survive and thrive. And when you start looking around, actually you see microclimates everywhere. And they're generally driven by the anchor or the destination driver. And in my community, Queens, New York, we have a local hospital that creates its own retail microclimate. Right across the street, we have Sam's Surgical Supplies, a drugstore, and an accident lawyer, because accident lawyers really like to be across the street from an emergency room. That is the 100% corner right there. And these businesses are there because of the hospital. And without that hospital, they're like the wrong plant, really in the wrong place. And yet over the years, we've created a fantastic regional highway system that in many cases bypassed our downtowns and our main streets and deprived them of the visibility and the access that they needed to succeed. And retailers know this, absolutely. Have you ever seen a 7-Eleven that was not on a corner? And in fact, in New York, retail site selectors will tell you that 7-Eleven has done their analysis, and a mid-block location compared to an end cap or a corner, when they run the numbers, they see a 30% differential in sales. 30% difference in sales for maybe 50 feet, that is a microclimate. And so distance is real, but distance is also a state of mind. Imagine you are standing on this corner in this downtown somewhere, and you're wondering, well, do I want to walk down this block? Is there something interesting for me to see there? It's not far, 180 linear feet, right? Now imagine you've got heels and you're carrying lots of bags and you've been walking all day. Maybe the men won't understand this, but the women certainly will. 180 feet. Or if you're walking with a young child, I will say my 8-year-old son is very rambunctious and it is impossible to walk a block with him without taking more time than I'd like it to take. Or if you're an older woman walking with a cane, or you're in a wheelchair. 180 feet means something different depending on who you are. And yet we have lots of downtown environments, lots of commercial corridors where we don't get the basics right. I'll share an example from Fair Lawn, New Jersey. We've got a community with 70,000 square feet of retail, double-sided, 480 linear feet, double-sided. But when you get down to the ground, you see something different. If you want to get from point A to point B, you've got to walk through the parking lot, cross 5 lanes of street, and then cross more parking. And what if you've got a walker? Do you do that? And what if, say on a weekend, you're going to the Swiss pork store and you want to, I don't even know what Swiss pork is, by the way, but you want to go to the Dutch Tavern House for lunch. Will you walk 472 feet to cross the street? No, no one does that. But please don't cross the street with your cell phone, because this is the most dangerous intersection in this town, by the way. You're going to cross smack in the middle, 68 feet. But if you were the woman with a walker, could you get it over that curb? Would you walk to the corner where they want you to walk and cross the street, or would you get back in your car? And why am I talking about older folks? Because by 2025, those age 60 plus are going to constitute 33% of aggregate spending. And these are people who are really comfortable, who grew up in brick and mortar environments. And so we need to consider them. They are still an important customer base. But many of them will continue to live in single family homes. They really want to age in place, and so they're going to be driving to your downtown. So I want to pretend that we're driving into this nice little downtown, it's Geneseo, New York. And we're driving along and we're looking for the parking lot. And we get to downtown and where did the parking lot go? Let's go back. Imagine it's nighttime. Oh wait, there's the sign. I see the sign now. That is a tasteful sign, right? Gold lettering, dark green background. We all know that's the equivalent of taste. But I want to say that as our population ages, and hospitals already know this, they address this through changes in wayfinding, they change the way in which they've done signage, because you want to be able to see these signs or they don't exist. Now back to Watkins Glen. This intersection in Watkins Glen sees, on a summer day, 20,000 people. And let's wait at this stoplight. You're here for 30 to 40 seconds. Please don't look at your cell phone when you're waiting at a stoplight. The person behind you will think it's very annoying. They'll have to beep at you. But do you see those stores there? Let's take a closer look. Wow, there's a clothing boutique, a yoga studio, beauty salon. No one knows they're there, and yet, when do you get 30 seconds to give someone, that's an advertisement. People pay millions of dollars for that advertisement. Every single visitor to this town goes through this intersection, and they miss that. But other communities have figured it out. So I want to talk about something I call the path to purchase. How do we make that path to purchase more comfortable? Well, there's only so much we can do. You guys are my tribe. We are the stage managers of this whole process. We are behind the scenes. And yet there are things that we can do. I take some inspiration, some food for thought from eat this, not that. So do this, not that. And much of this will be familiar to you, but I want to give you a different context and a way of thinking about this. So access. Make sure you can see where the parking is. Whether you like the sign or not, it's absolutely visible. And it's not a parking lot that's hidden behind trees. And in fact, this image on your right, this parking lot is half empty. And of course, in this community, the major complaint is we don't have enough parking. If people are biking, make sure they have a place to park their bike. and that they don't destroy your beautiful trees. If you're fortunate enough to have a parking lot behind your main street or downtown, make sure that the alleys and the connections are inviting and interesting, and that they're not afterthoughts. This is the alley from a parking lot to the main street. This is not a great pathway to purchase. What about mobility? Well, let's just make sure we let people cross where they want to cross. Lots of communities don't do this. They make it really hard to create functional microclimates and allow both sides of the street to work together. Or sidewalks. We do not need fancy brick sidewalks in many cases. In fact, we all know lots of communities have spent millions and millions of dollars on brick sidewalks that buckle, create trip and fall hazards, and especially as our population ages, they're going to feel less comfortable in this kind of environment. Just simple and clean is fine. Awnings. Let's make sure that we give people, comfortable places to shelter when it rains, when it's really, really sunny and hot, and climate change is making it hotter and hotter all the time. Trees. We know that trees, well-placed trees, trees that allow you to still see the storefront, but trees are really important in climate mitigation and are going to require us to rethink how we look at downtowns. Benches. Make sure that you give people respite, and please don't do this. This poor guy, I'm imagining a car backing into him. That would be a really bad thing. And finally, visibility. Let your businesses flow out onto the sidewalk. Don't over-regulate them. Don't keep them from doing the thing that makes it really interesting to potentially walk down here, which shortens the mental distance when you see something like that. And of course, signs, because lots of communities over-regulate and want to be so tasteful that they don't let their businesses do the right thing when it comes to their signage. So with that, I want to thank you and leave you with my inspiration. This is my son, who will not let me shop. He makes it absolutely impossible to shop. And again, with Watkins Glen. So thank you very much.